One of the questions I get asked quite a lot as a Dokkan Battle streamer is, should I pull on this banner? Is it worth it for me to pull on this banner? Hopefully we can answer a couple of those questions for you. So today, just last night, actually, the new Super 17 banner dropped, and it is actually not too bad of a banner. It's got quite a few. It's got quite a few really strong characters in it. Super Vegito, Rose, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, all some of the strongest agility characters in the game. And you'll notice that it's very stacked with agility characters. But that should be no surprise considering that Super 17 himself is AGL himself, agility. So we'll just go ahead and we'll just jump right in here. Load up the scouter here. So the first thing you'll see here is the Super 17. Obviously, he's the jackpot card of the group. Actually, I wouldn't even consider him the jackpot card of the group because he's a little bit underwhelming. He is the extreme agility leader, 100%. At HP attack and defense, extreme key +2, and he does give a little bit of a benefit to super AGL types, but for the most part, it's he's there for mono extreme AGL. Passive skill makes him a little tanky. Makes him do a little extra damage with each attack received, up to 100%. So you can potentially, in longer fights, you can potentially double his damage, which is pretty solid considering that he has pretty lackluster stats. At least until he Dokkans anyway. Immense damage, greatly lowers defense, both pretty normal for these kind of cards, especially boss cards. Boss cards are notable for having debuffs on their super attacks. So, you know, he's he's pretty solid. Even if he's not the best Neo God, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and switch over the SSR viewer here. So as you can see, when he Dokkans, it's +3 extreme AGL key. HP attack and defense plus 120%. He gets an extra 10% damage decrease and an extra 10% attack increase. So, and it goes up to 120%. Of course, it makes him hit quite a bit harder. And sorry, the super attack doesn't really change any. It's immense damage, still greatly lowers defense. It doesn't really change. His links are kind of interesting. He has Fused Fighter. I mean, it makes sense because he is a Fused Fighter. GT, Shocking Speed. He'll fit in pretty nice into like a GT team. Although you might be waiting a while for him to be useful. Maybe at some point when categories come out and there's like maybe like an Android category or something, like I could see him being extremely useful because then you can at least throw him into the team as like a tank, a pseudo tank. He doesn't have big bad bosses for some reason. Like I would have thrown out like maybe Nightmare, but it's whatever. The decision has been made. There's no going back at this point. Yeah, and as far as the stats go, when he's maxed out, it's pretty impressive. The defense leaves a little to be desired. But that really doesn't matter because he has a negative 40% damage decrease. As far as I know, that's like a universal decrease. It doesn't matter if it's a super attack or if it's just a normal attack. He's going to take 40% less damage from it. There's no stipulation here on the passive skill, so I'm going to assume that's the case. I probably should have looked into it, but, you know, that's hindsight's 20/20. So, the big jackpot card, or at least what Bandai Namco wants you to think, is Super 17. So, he's okay. He's okay. If you pull him, if you happen to be pulling on this banner and you pull him, he's not bad. He's not bad at all. Best thing about it too is that if you're willing to go through the grind and you do enough pulls, you can actually max out his super attack. with some of the extra cards on this banner, but we'll get into that in the future. So, Super 17, he's okay. We really don't need the SSR viewer for these for some of the upcoming characters here, because some of these have been out for so long that if you don't know about these cards, then you're probably should do a little bit of research. But Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, probably the best AGL character in the game, and probably the only reason why a lot of people are even going to bother to pull on this banner. Like Super 17 and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, yeah. So he's really good. He is the Super AGL monotype leader. A lot of teams have like 5 Super AGLs and like Agility Golden Frieza is tank. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta is extremely tanky. You'll see his passive skill here in a second. Attack and defense plus 100%. I think it's 120%. I think it's like a 35-40% chance to evade super attack and countering. So it's he can do he has the potential to do quite a bit of damage, and he's definitely the best character on this banner, like hands down. Immense damage, greatly lowers defense, even better. Even better. A lot of characters in the super typing really need debuffs on their super attacks, and the fact that he comes with one, just as it's icing on the cake, to be completely honest with you. Moving on, Goku Black, Super Saiyan Rose. I mean, he is who he is. He's useful simply because his versatility makes him useful. He's the extreme type leader. He gets plus 3 key. I forget, it's like plus 50% when he Dokkans for HP attack and defense. Allows you to run rainbow extreme teams. Pretty solid. He's also a key battery, and he gives attack plus 80%. Absolutely crazy. And Super Attack 10, Fierce God Slicer with immense damage, does crazy damage. He will be, if you happen to pull Super 17 and you put him as your leader, Rose is pretty much a necessity. He will do insane amounts of damage. He will probably be doing the most damage out of all the rest of your team, as far as extreme mono agility goes. Excuse me. Moving on to Super Vegito, he's been around for ages now. There's really nothing to say about Super Vegito. He's the OG mono. He's the mono agility god. He gets 70% HP attack and defense when he Dokkans, agility type key plus 3. His he offers more versatility compared to Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. He allows you to basically use whatever AGL type you want to. So if you don't have Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, but you pull Super Vegito and you needed like a mono agility gun, he will pull his weight. He's extremely powerful. He's also notoriously strong because he reduces damage by 70%, which increases later when he Dokkans, I believe, and then he counters, which does incredible damage. He does. He even supports too. It's absolutely nuts. This card, I think, has the biggest impact on the game for the longest amount of time. Originally, that crown went to Gogeta, but Super Vegito, I think, dethroned him, in my opinion. Still one of the strongest AGL cards in the game. If not number 2, definitely number 3. just from the sheer amount of damage he can output with a little bit of strategy, a little bit of tactics. Moving on to the OG, the actual OG agility type leader is Super Saiyan 3 Goku. Not too long ago, during the 2nd anniversary, you had the opportunity to collect one of these. Your stones would have been better used for full power Frieza, simply because he had immense damage modifier, and he's really strong in mono extreme and mono physical extreme. But a lot of you probably collected this card, which is definitely not a wrong choice either. Even though you won't really be using him as a leader anymore, he's still a really strong AGL type. Attack plus 80% for 5 turns from start of turn. I believe that goes up to 7 or 8 turns. And I think the attack goes up to like 100% or something like that. But he's still a solid agility type. He's not really you're probably not going to go out of your way to get him, but if you get him and you didn't have him before and you need a strong card for mono AGL, he's a good pick. So moving on, finally we're getting back to actual fighters. We're getting back to like new fighters. Hellfighter 17 is, you'll notice that he's not a Dokkan Fest exclusive, so you'll possibly be pulling this card in the future from World Tournament GSSRs. Intelligence and physical type key +2, HP attack and defense +20%. When he Dokkans, it's actually 30%. And intelligence and physical type key +3. He's really not that bad. If you don't have an intelligence leader or a physical leader, and you pull this card, he's a really good substitute. And then you can just simply use the correct leader to like friend leader to kind of supplement that. Although good luck, because intelligence and physical type leaders are pretty tough to find. Hellbreaker, when he Dokkans, supreme damage, rare chance to stun the enemy. I believe that doesn't actually change. Yeah, it doesn't really change between the two. His super attack doesn't change when he Dokkans, really. He gets attack +90% and key +2 when facing only one enemy. There's a lot of instances in the game where you're only going to be facing one enemy. So you can pretty much consider this passive skill to be activated like almost at all times. He gets shocking speed, which is interesting. Brutal beatdown. He gets some interesting links. I think his links are probably a little bit better than Super 17's links are. But he's not too bad. And having a look at his stats here when he's maxed out, not considering the hidden potential system, he has about average, maybe a little above average stats. So this card, really nothing to sneeze at. The main issue I have with the Android cards is that they're too few. There's too few cards, and the cards that are there are just not that great. So they have these Android only links, and they're just not very good links. But shocking speed and GT are very common links. Same with Fierce Battle. So, I mean, you can probably justify slotting him into a shocking speed team if you need to, or like if you're one of those people that play like quirky teams and you're like, oh, I want to play only GT only characters in this team for whatever reason, then yeah, he'll fit in quite well right there. I mean, really not much to say here. Some chance to stun is better than no chance to stun. Supreme damage, which is like, it's average now. If you have below supreme damage, like, you better be amazing to make up for that, to make up for that lost damage. So moving on, that was Hellfighter 17, intelligence type. And then we have his counterpart, which is just normal Android 17. And as you can see here, he's agility and intelligence, which is interesting, but he's agility himself. Let me fix that here. Supreme damage, lowers defense, no big deal. But his super attack does change a little bit when he Dokkans. He greatly lowers defense, which is spectacular. You can never lower defense too much, for sure. Agility and intelligence type key, +3, HP attack and defense +30%. He is basically exactly like Hellfighter 17, except instead of physical, he does agility. He does agility, key, HP attack and defense. As opposed to Hellfighter 17, he's a bit of a key battery, and he plays a support role. Agility, intelligence type key +2, attack and defense +25%. Not really much to sneeze at. He's only for agility and intelligence teams, he really he'll fit in quite well in like a mono extreme agility team, like if you have Super 17. So pulling this card, that'll probably be your support card. yet again, we have some really weird Link skill choices. The Innocence and Twin Terrors. Like, how often are you going to... how often are you going to see these actually, you know, utilized in the normal battle? Like, you have to build a team specifically around these links to get them to activate, and they're not that great anyway. So Fierce Battle, Infinite Energy, Nightmare, Fear and Faith. I don't understand why this card doesn't have a GT link. Like, that doesn't really make sense to me, but you know, it is what it is. But basically, as you can tell, he's purely a support card. He's not going to be doing like a ton of damage. He's not really going to be doing a whole lot of damage. Pretty average for a card like this. Stats are slightly above average. You'll see that here. So ultimately, he's not going to be on your team as a damage dealer. He's going to be on your team as a support. So makes him pretty useful. On a very specific kinds of teams. But still, if you pull him, it's good. And just like a lot of previous banners, they have featured SSRs, which are not SSRs, featured SRs. These are SRs that you're gonna pull frequently, and these both Dokkan into Super 17 cards, which brings us back to closer to the start of the video, when I mentioned that you can actually grind up Super 17 Super Attack, and you're going to be doing so using these two cards. So these cards are less useful as they're less useful on like actual teams as they are as just like super attack increase fodder. If you're gonna have Super 17 and you pull a bunch of these, you might as well go through the grind and increase the super attack, or at least get close to maxing it out before spending Elder Kai's on them or something like that. Anything really. I mean, there's really not much to say about these characters. You're not gonna be using them as leaders. Their passives are they're orb changers. Strength key to tech key, tech key to physical key. Most notable, Hellfighter 17 is as a strength to tech key orb changers. He's going to be super useful for mono extreme tech when that comes out, and he'll be Fuse the Master's best friend. He'll set him up. I'll set him up quite well. Nothing to really call him about as far as the super attack goes, because it's basically the same exact thing. Huge damage, and no changes. But at the SSR viewer here, when they Dokkan, sorry, that's the wrong one. That's the tech one. As I said before, they Dokkan into Super 17s. Again, you're not going to be using them for leader skills. You're definitely not going to be using them for damage, for sure. Look at that extreme damage modifier. It's fucking ugly. Don't know why they just don't give him extreme, but I guess we're back into like 2 years ago when having extreme damage was amazing. Having extreme damage on cards was amazing. But, oh man, that was bad. But not only do these cards change strength to tech and tech to physical, they also give an attack boost. It's a negligible attack boost, but it's something. They both share the same exact links. You'll notice Android Assault, Fear and Faith, Fuse Fighter, Nightmare, Big Bad Bosses, GT, Fierce Battle. That they have Nightmare. I'm sorry, Big Bad Bosses, GT. Will make them useful in GT teams or mono extreme teams. But the tech one is definitely the one to look at the most, because he will if you're aiming to pull for the mono tech extreme Neo God Leader, then this is a card that you're probably going to want to have. Max him out, get him ready. You should be able to max out his super attack, or at least come close. You can just sit on him for a while, and hope that you actually pull enough to max out a super attack. What happened to the music? Oh, that's strange. Okay, there we go. So music back. Okay, so extreme damage on their super attacks. They're not going to be doing a whole lot of damage, but it's super attack 10. At least they'll put a dent in something. The stats leave a little bit to be desired, but I'm really not surprised that they're as bad as they are. So really, that's about all there is to say about these particular cards. Bandai Namco wants you to think that Super 17 is the jackpot card. Don't listen to them. It's definitely Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, like no question. So who should be pulling on this banner? For people who are re-rolling, people who are just now getting into the game, doing pulls on this banner is definitely not bad. There are a number of cards that are very newbie friendly. Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, Rose to a lesser extent. Super Vegito, definitely newbie friendly character. Super 17 has a little bit of newbie friendliness to him, but that's only because he gets attack boost when he gets attacked, and he's tanky. If you learn how to maneuver your unit so that they're blocking attacks, you will find that Super 17 will pull his weight quite a bit. You're probably not really going to be using him as a leader. You could, but you're restricted to AGL types regardless. So maybe not. But it's totally up to you. Like you'll get more use out of Super Vegeta, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, as a leader than you would anyone else on this for sure. But you know, Rose is a little less newbie friendly because because of his leader skill. It restricts you to just villains, and no matter how many villains they put into the game, there's always going to be way less villains than there's going to be heroes, which is why characters like Vegito Blue are the most newbie-friendly characters in the game, because they allow you a greater pool from which to pull from. But if you happen to pull Super 17, and then you happen to pull Rose in like the same pull, the same multi-pull or something, then you're pretty much set as far as story goes. Like these two. With Super 17 as leader, will probably basically push you through almost the entire story by themselves. Maybe not the entire story, but it'll get you a good ways the way through. So mid-game players, I honestly wouldn't recommend pulling on this banner. There's better banners coming up with better fighters. Unless you really, really want to chase the dragon, so to speak, and go after Vegeta, maybe throw a multi at it. But don't go too crazy. I've seen people like be like, oh, Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta, let's drop tons and tons of Dragon Stones trying to get them. And then they wind up disappointed because the pull, I didn't really check to see what the pull rate was, but I'm going to take a shot in the dark and I'm going to say it's probably 10% because that's just kind of how it is. That's just kind of like the average for banners like these. Endgame players, I would strongly suggest not pulling on this banner. Like I wouldn't even spend even 5 Dragon Stones on this banner. Super 17 is not that great. If you're an endgame player, you probably already have Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta or Super Saiyan 4 Goku. You don't really need either of these characters. They're nice to have. They do a shit ton of damage, but you don't really need them. You probably already have Rose, and you probably already have Super Vegito if you're an endgame player. At least one or the other, because these characters have appeared on so many banners by this point that not having it, like, and when I say they've appeared on banners, I mean they've appeared on banners that you will have pulled on regardless. Like it doesn't really matter. It is what it is. So endgame players really don't need to pull on this banner. A lot of people have this Super Saiyan 3 Goku now. The Hellfighters are okay. Like he does okay damage, and he's a good support / key battery. These guys, you can pull these anytime from this point onwards. Same with these guys, because they're not Dokkan Fest exclusive. So I mean, endgame, I can't recommend spending any dragon stones with this banner. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it at all. Not especially considering that we have Intelligence Gogeta coming up. One of the heaviest hitters in the game, Intelligence Gogeta. Another one of the heaviest hitters in the game is Tech AGL Super Saiyan 3 Goku, and that's coming out soon with the Masked Saiyan card, which we'll go more in depth into the Masked Saiyan card when the banner finally releases. But besides that, that's the Super 17 banner. There's really not much more to say about that. So I mean, I strongly suggest against pulling, especially if you're like mid end game player. But if you do decide to pull, good luck. I hope you get what you're looking for. And this was ChunkyBeef. Definitely give us a follow on Twitter, Minds. Follow us on Twitch. We'll go ahead and link all that crap below. You'll see it inevitably. But I'll see you guys later. Till the next video, the next stream, whatever happens to be next down the line here. But take it easy.